In this video, I want to talk about some of the things I wish I would have known when I started my business over 10 years ago and what has really helped me in just reflecting back. But regardless of whatever trade you want to get into or what service you want to offer, this is going to be great information to have. This video is brought to you by FilterBuy, America's #1 choice for quality, affordable air filters. So to give you a little bit of background about myself, I moved to Salt Lake City about 7 years ago, and I was working as an auto mechanic, and I was making about 15 bucks an hour. And I was just kind of spinning my wheels, not really getting anywhere. I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And I had several friends that were in construction. And I knew that I wanted to get into construction because I had worked with another friend of mine back in Tennessee doing construction for the summer. And I really enjoyed that. So I knew some friends here that own their own business. So I called maybe 3 or 4 of them up and said, hey, would you hire me for say 25 bucks an hour just to work for you part-time here and there? And between the 4 of those, they all said, yes, I'd absolutely use you maybe 1 day a week. And I was able to take that jump from working as a mechanic to being technically a business owner, a subcontractor, if you will. And I got into the construction space. I helped my friend who is a plumber, another tile setter. So I was kind of had my hands in a bunch of different things. And then if we rewind like 15 years ago, I worked for another friend of mine for a summer doing HVAC. And I specifically remember I really liked doing that, and I wanted to eventually get back into that. But I knew that just going in the construction field in general was a good idea. So with that in mind, I worked with them for about 6 months with these 4 or 5 friends of mine that were contractors. And eventually I took that leap of faith. And one thing that really helped me, and I advise you to look into this if you're thinking about taking that leap, if you have the circumstances to do that, is Thumbtack. Now, Thumbtack may have changed a little bit since I used it, but it was really invaluable. And you could go on even before you started your business and you could see what leads were coming in, what requests people were making. Some of them were, I needed a kitchen faucet replaced. I need to have this drywall patched. I need to have something on the floor patched up because it's got some scuffing on it. So when I was taking that leap from working from those friends of mine to doing my own thing, I was more focused on doing handyman work because I knew that could also be lucrative. And I was looking for leads that were handyman leads. Now, regardless of what service you offer, if you are a plumber, an electrician, those are the trades you want to get into. You can look for those specific leads on Thumbtack and kind of see what your options are. And then if you're working for someone, you can take one of those leads. If you secure it, you pay maybe $10, $15 for a lead. You can pay more money for more expensive leads that could turn out to be larger jobs, but you could take those one at a time and you don't have to go full-fledged on your own. You can do those a little bit at a time, and that's kind of what I did. I started getting a couple of jobs on Thumbtack until eventually I was busy enough to where I could tell the guys that I had initially asked if I could work for them, I appreciate it, I'm gonna hop on my own. And they were happy. They knew that anyone who's an entrepreneur and really wants to do better for themselves is eventually going to start business for themselves. So that's kind of what I did after about a year of working with them. And it was all downhill from there. The first year was pretty slow, but after that first year, it got to where I was, a month out in the middle of summer doing little handyman jobs. And just to give you a little bit of reference, typically I would start at trying to make about $500 a day doing various handyman jobs. And I started at a rate of, I think it was like $45 an hour. So going from a mechanic to making 15 to 45 was like this huge jump in pay. And then by the time I had finished doing handyman, or I was at the end of that segment of my life doing handyman work, I was closer to $100 an hour. And it was just busy all the time. I didn't really have any slow moments. And when I did, it was more a relief than stressful to have those slow moments. Now, if we fast forward a little bit, I was comfortable doing those handyman jobs, $100 an hour on average, maybe $1,000 a day was kind of my goal. And that's when I really started thinking about how much I loved HVAC. And so I looked into that, and I ended up getting my license to do HVAC, my S350 or HVAC specialty license. And here in Utah, it was actually really easy to get. I took a business course that took about a week. It was just 8-hour days. It wasn't super intense. And then I applied for my license. It just said, do you have 2 years experience in this field? I literally just checked a box, and there was no proof or documentation that I had that. but they could come back and question me and make me verify that for sure. But it was extremely easy. I was able to get my license, and then I was able to do installs, repair, anything in the HVAC residential field I could do. And that was about 5 years ago to the day. Now, just to be fully transparent, as an HVAC contractor with low overhead, if you're just doing this by yourself or with a helper, you can stand to make $5,000 in a day doing a HVAC replacement, or repair work is also very lucrative, but you kind of have to have the one with the other. And something else I'll note is that a lot of people on the channel have expressed how much they've learned from this channel. And I can't emphasize how much YouTube has helped me in learning this trade. I went to some small schools. I didn't go to a full vocational school for HVAC. Most of my skill is just learned in the field. I've looked up a bunch of YouTube videos, I'll be completely honest, and there's nothing wrong with that. AC Service Tech, Quality HVAC, those guys all have really awesome content that is highly valuable in learning this trade. Now, as I've started this channel, I can say the same. There's a lot of really good educational information on my channel, and we can all learn from each other and learn how to do HVAC, how to do it in a safe manner, and potentially how to start your own business, whether it's HVAC or anything. Now with that, I want to talk about one thing that really helped me when I was doing HVAC full time, and it is House Call Pro. This CRM, or customer relationship management software, is super valuable. And I just want to talk about a couple of the things that I really appreciated from House Call Pro. Number one, it keeps all of your customers, all of your images, all of your videos separate from your personal stuff. So you can have everything that's related to your business in House Call Pro, and it's not muddling the water when it comes to all of your personal stuff. Text, phone calls, photos, all of that can be totally separate. But one thing that stood out to me when I was using House Call Pro was their ability to have recurring jobs that were billed every single month. So in the HVAC industry, right now approaching what's called shoulder season. We're getting into September here in just a few weeks. September, October, November, those are considered the shoulder months where it's not blazing hot and it's not super cold. And that's the opportunity that we have to do preventative maintenance. Being as we don't have a bunch of work coming in, we're doing these maintenance visits. And if you have a list of maintenance customers that are paying you, say, $7 every month, you multiply that times 100 customers, and that can be a pretty sizable amount that you're generating every single month. So House Call Pro made it really easy to just set up a recurring job, punch in their credit card information, and it would bill them every single month. And it would continue to do that year after year until either their card expired or they canceled the membership. But it was a great way to kind of balance the ebbs and flows of HVAC. And I know that a lot of HVAC contractors struggle with that. They get really slow in the fall and the spring, and this kind of helps to offset that. So that was one thing that I really loved about House Call Pro. But overall, I can say that it was money well spent. House Call Pro is not paying to advertise in this video. I personally love their CRM. I also had Jobber and House Call Pro, and I would absolutely pick House Call Pro over Jobber. They were both pretty good softwares, but House Call Pro really exceeds in the service industry in making it really easy to use. Now, full transparency, we are an affiliate for House Call Pro, but that is by choice, not because they reached out to me. I genuinely love House Call Pro's service, and I want to promote that. Now, with that being said, we'll leave a link in the video description that will get you 50% off your first 2 months. Now, I want to emphasize how this works. When you first sign up for House Call Pro, you'll get a call, and they'll kind of walk you through the process of that first trial period. I think it's 30 days. Now, it can seem a little bit fishy. When I first got House Call Pro, I had people calling me constantly from House Call Pro, but it wasn't like spam. They were genuinely calling to see if I needed help with something, how I could better understand the software. And that meant a lot to me after the fact. At the time, it seemed kind of repetitive, like they were calling me all the time, but it was because they wanted to ensure that we had a good understanding of how that CRM works. So just know that up front, you will get some calls just to kind of tutor you on how to use the CRM, because there's a lot of things that are in that CRM that you can learn how to use. And a lot of it can be confusing if you don't have the help of someone else. So if you're in the service industry, check it out in the video description, and I'm sure you'll be really happy with House Call Pro. Now, as some of you might know, we started doing content creation full-time January of 2024. I can't believe it's been over half of a year since we've just been doing content creation, but it kind of goes without saying that if I was willing to leave doing the physical side of the HVAC world to doing content creation, that it's been worth my time and I've really enjoyed doing this. So I hope everything that we've been doing has been beneficial for you. But a couple other things I wanted to mention about a service industry business or just owning your business in general is reinvest in the business. So what I mean by that is don't do your first year in business and go overboard and buy a $100,000 truck and have a huge truck payment. So many people do that. They go into business, they see a little bit of cash, and then they go overboard and they buy a bunch of stuff. And then within 5 years, they say a lot of businesses fail within the first 5 years. I've seen that happen firsthand. But just making sure that you put that money back into your business in a good way, whether that's saving that for a time when it gets slow, making sure that you have the proper tools and equipment, and being able to look good when you're doing your work, that can go a long way in getting more customers, because you don't want to show up in a beater truck and you're not going to get the right kind of customers that way. One other thing that I'd highly recommend once you get into business, maybe not super early on, but once you get past a certain volume, I highly recommend getting a good CPA, because they're going to be able to instruct you on how to structure your business. If you're structured as a sole proprietor and you're making $150,000 a year, that's going to be throwing a ton of money out the window or giving it to the government in taxes. When you could structure it as an LLC, taxed as an S Corp, those things will save you tons of money. It took me a while to kind of wrap my brain around how that works. So we are technically an employee of our business, our LLC, and we do a small draw every month, but the business is what's making that income and what's taxed on that income. So if at the end of the year, we have to use some of that money to put back into the business, it's not money that we earned. And that's because it's part of the LLC, and it's not money that I personally made, on paper that is. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have. But hopefully this helps you if you're thinking about starting a service business or just any business. I think a lot of these things in this video will be helpful for you, and I just wanted to share those with you. If you're interested in the business side of things, let me know in the comments below. And I'd like to start making some more business related content that will help you as a business owner. When those become available, we'll leave a playlist right here. But until next time, you guys be safe. Later.